Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, back here for another daily shakeup. And today I want to talk about change and a challenge with change and an opportunity if we are thoughtful. And here's a big one. We care about the impact that change has on our people. It doesn't mean we don't change, but it means that we do things differently in setting it up, how we communicate it, except for true emergency situations. And there's very few of those. And I'm going to call myself out to start. I like change. As people who know me know, I tend to be disruptive. I'm looking for the new thing, want to try new things out. Some consider me a rebel. I certainly like to try new things. I'm very curious. In fact, if you've listened to other daily shakeups, you know my word for the year is ruckus, as in make a ruckus, and that involves change. But here's the thing, I'm comfortable with change. And especially when change is it's change that I'm initiating, I know it's coming. I don't know the outcome, but I know change is coming, so I'm not surprised by the change that I create. Now, generally, I also do well with change that happens around me. In other words, change that happens by circumstance, change that's initiated by others. But what I've noticed is that when I have the most challenge with change, it's when it comes from others and it wasn't teed up. I didn't have a sense it was coming. It was, I'm going to say, more abrupt than it needed to be because there was an opportunity to communicate about it or perhaps to delay the change just a little bit period of time, not to change the opportunity from the change, but just to give enough chance for that change, the idea of change, the possibility of change to land with other people. This has been a real eye opener for me because, again, I was locked into I'm super comfortable with change and then realized when change is coming from others without communication, without some level of anticipation or even momentary preparation. Momentary might not be 5 seconds, but it might be a few hours. More of a challenge. So then I thought, but what about the people who are uncomfortable with change? 80% of people are uncomfortable with change. So that means 80% of our people are going to be negatively impacted to their personal and perhaps professional detriment when change happens, especially when it's not communicated, it's not, uh, they're not prepared for it. And also when we're doing change so quickly that we're not giving people a chance just not only get used to it. That's not what it's about because they may never get used to it. If you're uncomfortable with change, you won't get used to it, but to have a sense that it's coming. And here's the big one. When people experience change without any preparation, it's easy for them to conclude that the change is happening without thought. In other words, that it's reactive. That may not be true, but perception is reality, especially when it comes to change. So if you want to enhance your leadership, minimize the negative impacts of the change that you create, which is often for the good, then communicate ahead of time. Let people know it's coming. Take a little pause between the idea and the change, and at a minimum, educate people on how much thought went into the change so that they don't experience as reactive. Sometimes we have to react, but most of the time we want to be responsive leaders as opposed to reactive leaders. Think about it. Where are you on change, especially in your leadership?